Okay, yeah. So what I wanted to go through was a quick tour of the demo or of the development environment, and then actually get into developing a page from scratch. So I'm logged into the IDE right now. This is just a list of all of the applications that I have in this tenant. There's a lot of different applications that do a lot of different things. But the one that I'm going to be working in is this IDE demo app. So if I click into it, then I get greeted with the main IDE menu. So here we can do a lot of different things. We have the security menu to manage users, identity providers, some security settings there. Yeah, we have the development, which is all about web pages and methods and workflows, batch jobs. You can develop everything here. And you can see there's a lot of different menus for some different things that I won't have time to cover here. But what I do want to cover is the project management. So I'm going to be developing a page from scratch. And so that will require creating a new job. So this is
So this is the DevOps portion of our IDE.
right. Yeah. So this is all DevOps. So I can create a job just to hold our tasks to create this page. So we have a job created, and now I can create a task for that job. So I'll add a new task. So we'll just say we'll create a customer inquiry page, and we'll put it under our new job. This can be either a bug or a feature, and I'll assign it to myself here. And then we can add some sort of description. So let's say we want to create a customer inquiry page. We want to query F0101 and F0116. And let's say we want to perform, let's say, address updates using business function and orchestrator. We can also attach some files to the task. We'll go ahead and submit. This notification would go to the developer, which is me. And as a developer, I would go into this icon up here, which is the developer workbench. I would create a new project, and I would attach that task to a project. And now I'm inside a project. So here I can add items, I can add existing items, I can duplicate, delete. So I'll go ahead and add new, and I want to add a web page. So this will just be customer's inquiry. We can add a description there. Hit OK. And so once I click into this pulls up the MVC canvas, which is the model view controller design scheme that we use, which essentially means that we're pulling information from the model, which I'll show in a second, but it's right here. Any information that we pull in the model, we can display on the view, and then any controllers that we define, we can create buttons out of and do some actions on the view. So over to the left here, all of the kind of drag and drop items that I can add to the view. So we can add buttons, hyperlinks, images, just for example. So what I want to add for the customer's inquiry is a list. And so I can add this list / grid here, and then that pulls up a wizard. So name the list customers, and the service type, we can make it an inquire. So we can inquire something from JDE. There's some options here for paging, filtering. I'll leave these all checked so you can see what they do. We can define our connection instance as JDE. Then we can use our query builder here to select some tables. So like the task said, we want to do F0101 and F0116. Just so we can get the address information, and we'll link these together like that, and it automatically creates the tables that join for us with these tables. So next I need to define a where clause, so I'll add a couple filters here. The first one, we want to restrict it to only customers. So we can go over here to the columns in the table, and we can select search type. That pulls in the column name. And then operator is equals, and we want it to equal a value of C for customers. And then we want the user to be able to search on the address book name. And so I'll go over here to columns and table again, and we'll do alpha name. The operator, instead of equals, we'll do a like operator. And then the value is going to be this default value, which is the value coming from the search box, which you'll see once this list is created. And so lastly, I need to define some results. So this is what's going to be displayed in our list. So I'll go ahead and drag all of the columns over, and we can select which columns we want to show. So we want to show the number, the name. If we go down here, we want address line 1, city and state. Add those. And then it automatically creates these results for us. So if I scroll down, we can kind of edit the descriptions, which will show up in the list. If we want to just kind of simplify these a little bit, we can do that. And then I'll click add control. And then our view now contains the list you can see here in the middle, the customers list. Above it, we have some paging options. We have a search box, search button. At the bottom, we have a paging option as well. And so if I go into the desktop view, then we'll see all of the addresses, all the customers that we have in JDE. It pulled them in the model, and then it displayed them on the view in my automatically generated list. Yep, and we have some paging options down here. If you want to show more per page, we can do that. If we want to search, we attach this to the name. So if I search, it should pull up something with the name vision in it. And then if I clear this out and just research, and then I click this data download button, it downloads a CSV of all of the data that's on this page here. And if I go into phone view, it's the same thing, but it automatically formats to a card format in phone view. So same information, same paging options. It's just in a card format instead, so which is easier to view on mobile.
Say, Ben, I just want to add a comment about the mobile functionality of our platform. So what you're seeing there is responsive design technology, form factoring it from what I call smartphone or tablet browser, thin client. With my Apple, it'd be Safari or Chrome. Now, with our platform architecture, we did select an open source native app framework. We looked at Xamarin from Microsoft and Facebook React Native, and we selected Facebook React Native. So we also have a native app extension to our web platform. Everything you're seeing now is web, browser independent, but we do have the hybrid a React Native, and it's really important because a lot of our customers now are doing a lot more with OCR, receiving processes, AP, invoice automation, things like that. And once again, because we're cloud native, our new OCR is AWS Text Tract. So AWS Text Tract is, OCR as a service. And once again, taking advantage of the cloud functionality. We also do it with translation, Google Translate, creating data dictionaries and, other standards that we're based on. Material design, if a developer wants an icon, they're going to go to, the Google site to select the icon in the development process. But I just mostly wanted to bring up the smartphone. It's both fat client, native app. Something in fact, you can look in EASYProcess in Google and Apple Store. So that's the native app, but Ben is showing the browser. Go ahead, Ben. So first off, like Google Translate, that's referred to as AI, the way that they do that. What we offer the benefit of creating like a data dictionary that you can then go in and edit, say French or whatever. And specific with Text Tract, they introduced They have base OCR, forms OCR, and then they introduced a query OCR. And we just finished a project for Michaelman in Ohio where, Suman, we were scanning what, safety material sheets, and they were really diverse. And this query really illustrates the AI functionality of TextTract OCR, doesn't it?
Yes, and now that we are talking about it, I would like to add that we have also done with the same application for OCR. We also did what we call what's called Amazon Comprehend. So that's like a natural language processing. We use that to figure out, the language of the document we are scanning. So their data sheet was in French, was in Spanish, and was in English, and we correctly identify all the language across probably 1,500 documents. So that's so to answer your questions, yes, across the board we can access pretty much any cloud APIs to, whether it's AI or natural processing. That's not a problem. They're all REST based.
Oh,
Okay, go ahead, Ben.
Yeah, so I have this page built out. The next part of the task was to add an edit functionalities to edit these addresses by business function and orchestrator. So the idea that I have is I'm going to add a new column to this list. So I'll do that now. And we're going to have a hyperlink that links to a new pop-up window where you can edit these fields. And so, yeah, hyperlink, I'm going to drag that over. We'll say edit customer. And we'll add some text to it. And now the next step would be to create that window. So I'm going to go back to our developer workbench. I'm going to add a new widget. That's what we call our pop-up windows. We'll call it edit customer. And we'll click save. And then just like before, we're going to go into the widget and it'll be an MVC canvas again. But instead of generating the list using the wizard, I'm going to go directly into the model here. So I'm clicking on this gear icon. And then I have a start and terminate node here. This is the logic canvas. So this is how you would design any logic in our low-code platform. So over to the left, we have a list of services that do many different things. We have database services to read and delete and insert to any database or table. We have email services to send and receive emails. So there's a lot of different things here that do a lot of different specific things. The one service that I want to grab though is an inquire service, and we'll call it get customer. And so in here, we just want to retrieve the customer from JDE again. And so this is going to be a very similar query to what we had in the customer's inquiry page. So we wanted to find the connection instance, which is JD Edwards. The table name, we're going to do the same join that we did before. So F0101, F0116. Join these tables together, save and close. Our where clause will be a little different because we just want one filter. And we just want to filter on the address book number that we're sending into the pop-up. And so the value is actually going to come from a view parameter. This is just how we pass parameters back and forth from pages. So I'll just call this view parameter A, B, A, and 8. And we'll put it in here. And you'll see where I define this value on the other page. Okay, next we need to define results. So I'm going to pull the same number of results that I had before. Address line 1, city and state. And then that is going to be our query. And so let me just refresh here. The next thing that I want to do is, I want to expose this output to the page. And so this just means that this page can see what's coming out of this query. So if I, here you can see the results of the query. So I'm just going to drag this, actually, I'm going to split this up into 2, and then I'm going to drag the result into the first box. it pulls up a little wizard here where I can make a list, a grid, or a form. I do want a form, and I want all of these results. I'm going to check these boxes. This means that we can use them in a controller later on. And we can make some of these labels, text boxes, whatever we need. I'm going to turn all of these into text boxes here, except for the address number, because you can't edit that. And then, yeah, you could do something like that. In this model, we're expecting only to get one customer from the query, and this will only display, yep. So I'll go ahead and create this form. So that just pulls up, or auto creates a little form here. We have our address, book number, and so on. And the last thing that we want to do is drag a button here, and we'll just call it save. So this is just going to save the address in JDE. But now we need this button to do something. So this is where we would define a controller. So define a controller, we'll call it save. And we'll go into it. Like I said, this canvas is how we define logic anywhere in the application. So it happens in controllers as well. We don't need this update element because we're not updating anything on the screen. But what I want to grab here is the business function service. So we'll call it business function update. And then if we double click inside here, we can define a method name. So this will search on all of the business functions in JDE. So we want to do the address book master. Yep, and yep, same thing with parameters. We defined the business function name, and so this pulls up the parameters. So same thing, I can pull up this this wizard here to define the parameters that we want to add. So we want to change, we want to update the master file. The search type equal to C since we're dealing with a customer. We also want to define address line 1, city and state. And one thing I forgot to do is I have to define some controller parameters when I'm defining a controller. This just means we can pass these into the controller from the screen. So I'm going to do this real quick. City and then state, and we can call these whatever we want, but I just have them as their JDE names. So now we can define these C1 and then search type equal to C. Yep, and so now we can pull these controller parameters and we can drag them into where they go in the business function and do this sort of mapping process. Oh, and actually we do want alpha name as well. So I can drag alpha name there, address line 1, city and state. We'll add these and it automatically fills out these parameters. And so that's the business function update. We also want to show the orchestration. So I can search REST, and we want to use this request service. Call it Orchestrator update. I'll put it right next to the business function one. And then we have some parameters to fill out here. So an orchestration is just a REST call. So when you create an orchestration, you will get back, a URL to call, a method to call. This will be a post, the HTML content. And I filled these out before this just so it goes a little quicker, but I just mapped these to the controller parameters as well, coming from here. And then lastly, we have a projected response. So this is just what we're expecting to get back from the orchestration. And we're expecting to get back an address number. All right. And then, yeah, the last thing here, we just want to execute through the ECC server instead of the app server. So yeah, the last thing we want to do in this method is use a service called setTerminateActions to close the window and refresh. So we want to close that little window that's up and refresh that parent page. And so this is just a list of kind of yes or no questions. So do we want to close the window? Yes. Do we want to show a pop-up message? Yes. And then we define what the message is going to say. So we'll say customer number, and then we can take our controller parameter here for the address book number, updated. So that number will go into the message dynamically like that. And then we also want to refresh the parent window as well. And so that's it. So if we were to run this, it'll do the business function update and then close and refresh the window. So I just need to attach this to my button on this screen. So on click, we want to do that save. So just map all of the fields of the screen to the fields on the controller. So it looks like I got logged out here. Should be logged in now. Yep, there we go. Yep, so on a click, we want to run this controller. And we want all of these things to be passed in. And then our widget should be done here. And so going back to our customers inquiry page. Now the last thing we need to do is link this page to our widget. So once we click on this edit customer hyperlink, we want to, on click, we want to open window. And then the window we want to do is edit customer. Let me double check that the view parameters here. Yeah, we just want view parameter to be that address book number. Let's open window, edit customer, and we want the address book number here. All right, and then I can use this to open the window in a new tab. So let's view this query, and then you can see all the customers. So if we click on edit customer, pulls up the window, that second query runs, pulls the information, and then what we can do here is just add something to the end of the name, click save. It's been updated, and so the page refreshes and we can see our change. And so this is going to be reflected in JDE as well. So now to change it back, I'll show you the REST API. So this will look very similar, but this is just going to call an orchestration instead of the business function update. And so this changes that the logic. So we'll get rid of this. And once I hit this save button, it should be calling the orchestration now. And then, yep, we'll get an update and it refreshed, got rid of that demo. But yeah, you could see, yeah, the orchestration, yeah, we got our response back, the address number. And this is kind of like a sneak peek into the log viewer that we have, but yeah, we can see the orchestration ran and gave us that back.
It's for both production also. We have our logs are live in production, is always on in production and does not affect the performance of your production application at all. We kind of do it like in parallel.
So this is not just,
You can keep your log up to, if you're on the right hand side, you see how many max files, how many size and retention. For our production apps, we can keep retention for 30 days. So if something happens, you can go back in past and see. And our logs are very granular. You can expand, just expand something. Yeah, every step.
okay.
So the payload for business function call, and also go to business function call and so the payload there.
Yep.
So you can look at the whole, everything is there.
Output, yeah, output.
And they're all, that's a very good point you asked because, I know with JDE, you have to turn the log off.
Yeah.
So we can view our project tasks. We can change them from in progress to ready for testing, and then promote here. And that just promotes it from DV to QA. And then this will be the same process for promoting to PD as well. Changes it from view project tasks, change it from testing to in production or ready for production, and then promote from here. We can also demote as well.
And while he's doing that, I want to point out that these are controlled by the roles. So you don't have to be the same person doing it all. You can
Right.
have different people promoting the PD and different people doing the testing and then ready for production. They all can be done by different people. It's all configured in every environment. The connections are configured with the same name. So when he
Okay.
promoted to a different environment, the same name will connect to the QA. And in PD, the same name will connect to the PD. So you don't have to go and change anything. This object that he created in PD, it's already in PD and it's talking to a PD database of JDE Edwards.
Okay, yeah, so I was going to show our procurement portal, Easy Buyer. Yeah, just to give a quick overview of what the workflow looks like. Yeah, so the requester will come in at this composing status. This will either go to a pre-approval edit if they need more information. This will go through procurement. And then once it's ready for approval, it'll go to budget approval. It'll go from manager to manager until it's fully approved, where it'll do the buyers will do one more pass through of the requisition, and then once they approve, it'll go to JDE and a PO will be created. Yep, and on success, it'll wait for a receipt until it's received in the system. And at that point, the request will be terminated once all the lines are received. So I can just go straight into it here. Yeah, very quickly, I'm just going to introduce, what kind of approvals we have lined up, or what our approval flow looks like. So I'll log in as Vanessa Hudson, who's a procurement user. I'm going to go to work with approval routings, and I'm going to select this cost center. So all of the approvals are cost center based. So you can select a cost center in any of your requisitions. And at that point, it'll go to any number of approvers that are defined here. So this should go to 3 approvals based on this limit of authority over to the right here. So if it's above 100, it'll go to Ignacio and Cecilia. If it's above 2000, it'll go to all 3, and so on. So yeah, and this approval routing, it's very configurable. We could match this to, whatever approval routing you would need in your business. So I am going to log out of procurement and log in as a requester. And the first thing I want to show is the punch out functionality. So I'll go to punch out catalog and I'll click on Amazon. And this triggers a CXML request from our end going to Amazon. And they send us back a URL to forward the user to. And you can see I am logged in through Amazon as Marion Johnston for the Easy Buyer application. And so this just lets us, view the Amazon business catalog as is, so we can go and just add stuff to our cart. So let's add some of those, some boxes, add this to our cart as well. And then once we're done, I can hit proceed to checkout. And at this point, we can select a shipping address, which is configurable in the business settings. You can either have the users define their shipping addresses themselves, or you can have preset shipping addresses for your business. So I'll click deliver to this address. And then we can select some shipping options. And then, yeah, same thing with shipping addresses. You can also do with payment options. So this is provided by our organization. You can also have the users type in their own cards as well. But yeah, just to show you, actually, that might make me sign in again. But yeah, so these are provided by the organization. You can manage payment methods here. This is just the admin portal for Amazon Business. So you can add these. But yeah, you can continue, and then it'll say this order requires approval because this is going to go through our procurement system. And after it's fully approved, we'll send a request back to Amazon to actually process the order. So here it is. It's sending us back a response. And we're back in Easy Buyer, and we have, an easy Amazon punch out request. We have some different header information here. Some of it came from Amazon, but you can see down here, the line information is coming from Amazon. So we have our post-it notes in our boxes. Also, the shipping and tax information came from Amazon, so we have our total price here. So I'll go ahead and submit this to the approval workflow. And you can see it's assigned to, you can see the next assigned to user, it's Ignacio Haynes. And he would have gotten an email. This is just a very simple kind of approval email. It's an Amazon punch out request. Click here to review and approve. So I will log out of Marion Johnston and I'll click here to review it. And so this will take me to a login screen. So we'll go ahead and log in, and this will take us straight to the requisition with all of the information filled out. Everything's read-only since I'm a manager and I can't go in and change this. But what I can do is just put a comment here, click approve. And since this was over $100, it's going to go to the second level approver, who also would have gotten an email. But I'll just go ahead and log straight into the portal here. This is set up in EasyBuyer separately. Although we could read from JDE, you know, these approval routings. Amazon has their own kind of procurement punch out system that I believe you'll have to get a license for. And then once it's all set up, we'll be able to link that to our procurement system. But many different vendors do offer punch out, and we can integrate to any of them.